Hi everyone and welcome to GHT. Today we are going to be covering the subject of maths within hairdressing. This came about because when I was training my apprentice, she couldn't relate the maths she had learnt at school to what she needed to know for the salon. So what I've done is I'm just going to put the basics down in this video to understand ratios when colouring, and then I'm going to look at percentages for your tax and your commission so you can understand a little bit more how you're getting paid and what you need to pay the taxman. So I have got a little cheat sheet down here just to prompt me, as there's a lot of numbers to go through. So bear with me if I do look down a couple of times. But the first thing we're going to look at is ratios. So your ratios for colour. When you look at a tube of colour, you will see a couple of numbers on there. You'll see something like 1 to 1, 1 to 2, something along those lines on the tube. So that means that colour needs to be mixed up with developer, either 1 to 1 or 1 to 2. So first thing we're going to cover is 1 to 1. 1 to 1 means equal parts colour to equal parts developer. So if you had to mix up 10 grams of colour, you would mix up 10 grams of developer, no matter what the strength of that developer is. It would be 10 grams of colour to 10 grams of developer, and so on down the list. 20 grams to 20 grams, 30 grams to 30 grams. And I'm just going to pop up some figures to the side of me here, and that will give you a little cheat sheet of what the measurements would be. I use Wella in the salon I work in, and 1 to 1 is used when it comes to koleston perfect and our permanent colours. 1 to 2 is used for our high lifts and our quasi colours, which is our colour touch. So 1 to 2 means 1 part colour to 2 parts developer. To simplify that, that means your 1 part of colour, you double that, and that will give you the amount you need to use for your developer. So again, I'm going to put some numbers up on the screen. 10 grams of colour would be mixed with 20 grams of developer. 20 grams of colour would be mixed with 40 grams of developer, and so on down the list. Sometimes you might come across 1 to 1.5. I haven't come across it in Wella, but I do use that ratio when I'm mixing up my lightener or my bleach. So 1 to 1.5 is 1 part colour to 1.5 parts developer. The amount of colour that you've got, you would times that by 1.5, and that will give you the amount of developer you need to put with it. So an example, which I'm going to pop up on the screen next to me. So 5 grams of lightener or bleach would be 7.5 grams of developer. 10 grams of lightener or bleach would be 15 grams of developer, and so on down the list. So these are just a few of the round numbers that you might come across in your day-to-day lives in the salon. If you would like to use these as a cheat sheet, you can screenshot them and keep them on your phone, or create your own and pop them up in your colour rooms in the salon, because it will help out your apprentices. It will even help you, the stylists and the colourists out too. So that is what I would recommend you do in the salon. So now we're going to move on to percentages. So percentages you need to know for commission and for tax. So we're going to start on tax. So tax in the UK is 20% of earnings. So to work out your tax, I'm going to put a couple of calculations up on the screen. What you do is you take your profit or your pay or your earnings, whatever you would like to call it, you would divide that by 100, then times that by 20, and that will give you how much tax you are required to pay on your profit or your earnings. Another calculation that is exactly the same, would give you exactly the same answer, is your earnings, your pay, your profit, whatever you want to call it again, times that by 0.2, and that will give you the amount of tax you will need to pay. So this is just a very rough calculation because there are other factors involved in your tax. So one of those is your national insurance. So on top of your tax, you need to pay your national insurance. I don't know the calculation for that. You know, I do my books at the end of the year and then it's all calculated for me and I pay my tax as a self-employed person. But I like to keep an eye on it, so I do use this 20% calculation to give me a rough idea of what I need to put aside so that I can pay that at the end of the year. Another thing that means this is just a rough calculation is that you do not have to pay tax on the first £11,500 you earn. So for the apprentices out there, if you are earning less than £11,500 a year, you do not pay tax. You might still pay your national insurance, but you don't pay your tax. So for those who are earning over £11,500, you do not pay tax on the first £11,500 you earn. You pay the 20% on the remaining amount. That's why it's just a rough calculation. I'm going to pop a few figures up on the screen here. Again, they are rough, but they just gives you an idea of what you should put aside so that you know you're going to have enough money to pay your tax. So if you earn or get paid £50, you will pay approximately £10 tax. If you earn £100, you will pay about £20 tax, and so on down the list. So the next thing we're going to cover is your commission. So this again is a rough guide to commission. If you are on a simple commission basis where you earn 30% commission, 40% commission with no caveat in there, no day rate or no if you earn me this much. If it is a straight commission based pay, this will help you. If on £100 of turnover, which means if you have made the salon £100 and you are on 50% commission, you will have earned yourself £50. If you earn the salon £100 and you are on 40% commission, you will earn yourself £40, and so on down the list. So the best way to calculate your commission is to turn that percentage into a decimal. Again, I'm going to pop the figures on the screen beside me. So if you are on 50% commission, turn that into a decimal of 0.5. If you are on 40% commission, turn that into 0.4. And again, the examples are beside me here. Once you have that, then what you need to do is the amount you've earned the salon times that by your commission decimal figure, and that is how much you will have earned yourself. So I've done an example. If you earn the salon £515 and you are on 40% commission, I'm going to turn that 40% into a decimal, which is 0.4, and I'm going to do 515 times 0.4. That gives you the answer of 206, and that figure is what you would take home at the end of that. That would be your pay, your earnings. So that is a rough, simple, very basic guide to maths in hairdressing. So you've got your ratios for colour, you've got your percentages for your tax and your commission. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment. If you found this helpful, give me a thumbs up If you wouldn't mind subscribing to my channel and ringing that bell, and I'll see you again.